Hi everyone, welcome back to Omocha Reviews. Anne here, and today we're going to be talking about the sequel to one of our favorite games on the Nintendo Switch, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Right now, not a lot has actually been confirmed about the sequel. All we have to go on really is 1 minute and 25 seconds of trailer, showing Link and Zelda traveling far underground, possibly beneath Hyrule Castle, and unearthing what appears to be the remains of Ganon. Now, intriguing as that is, we won't be making any predictions on what we think is going to happen. Beyond the main plot, the Breath of the Wild sequel faces the very difficult challenge of measuring up to the original. And when the beauty of Breath of the Wild was its unique open-world mechanic, how do you wow the same crowd with the same Hyrule? These are a few of our ideas on how the developers can and may let us see it with fresh eyes. AKA, 5 things we want to see in the Breath of the Wild sequel. Number 1, letting us rebuild Hyrule. The Hyrule that we're introduced to in Breath of the Wild is one that is essentially post-apocalyptic. There are ruins of towns everywhere, military barracks overrun by monsters, and fortresses covered in malice. The destruction wrought by the Great Calamity is seen and felt nearly everywhere. There are very few places that you'll find people thriving. But from side quests like Tarrytown, we learn that building communities from the ground up is indeed possible when people, but mostly Link, put in the work. After finally defeating Calamity Ganon in Breath of the Wild, the first thing Zelda ought to do as princess is rebuild and restore Hyrule Castle and all the areas surrounding it that were destroyed. And after everything that it took to bring Ganon down, it would be so satisfying to see the good that comes of it. We've already gotten glimpses of what the castle and the town outside it originally looked like in the recent gameplay previews of Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. Interviews with the developers have revealed that the team of Breath of the Wild has been more involved with this game than they were previously. When you think about it, this could very well be a taste of the Hyrule that we get to rebuild in the Breath of the Wild sequel. Number 2, introducing the future of Hyrule through new characters. Mipha, Daruk, Revali, and Urbosa are probably the most important characters in the plot after Link and Zelda themselves. But once the Calamity is defeated and their ghosts disappear, what happens to the Divine Beasts? Who pilots them? Breath of the Wild may have subtly given us the answer by introducing characters who could very well be their successors. For Mipha, there's her brother Sidon. For Daruk, it's his descendant Yunobo. For Revali, it's Teba, currently the greatest warrior among the Rito. And for Urbosa, it's the newest chief of the Gerudo, Riju. Each of these characters play a huge part in Link getting the Divine Beasts under control in Breath of the Wild. And with the amount of screen time they get, it was a little disappointing that their stories ended there. But with what appears to be an anticipated evil lying dormant beneath Hyrule, it would make sense for Zelda to prepare for trouble. And part of that would definitely be finding champions for the Divine Beasts. With how these characters proved themselves in the previous game and how nearly all of them appear to be linked to the original champions, it would make sense for these 4 characters to step up to the challenge to protect Hyrule. Number 3, letting us play as Zelda. Beyond keeping things fresh with a new storyline and new characters, the developers could also help us see Hyrule from a new perspective by letting us play as a new character, like, say, Zelda. The knee-jerk reaction for many to seeing the events of the trailer was to wonder whether it was actually going to happen. Interestingly, when asked if it was a possibility, game designer Eiji Aonuma sidestepped the question by saying he found it interesting that people immediately jumped to this conclusion just by looking at the trailer. So it's not a yes or a no, but again, previews of Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity tells us that it's possible. Among many other characters like Impa and the 4 champions, Zelda is indeed playable in this game, and she is killing it. I mean, look at that headshot move. And if she can do it here, who knows? Maybe it's the developers' way of testing the waters. Number 4, letting us go underground and underwater. Breath of the Wild wowed us by giving Link the ability to climb anything and fly over great expanses of land with his paraglider. We've already seen all of Hyrule on foot and by air. We've climbed mountains and flown over so many places. But we've never really been able to go underground. Something bound to change based on the trailer alone. This could mean the highly anticipated return of dungeons to the Zelda series, which is perhaps one of the biggest critiques that longtime fans have had for Breath of the Wild. While the shrines and divine beasts were great puzzles in themselves, these lack the sense of danger and enclosed space that a real dungeon would have. Not to mention the fact that it seems unlikely that Breath of the Wild 2 would make you revisit all 120 shrines in Hyrule again anyway. Going underground through caverns, tunnels, or dungeons would be an excellent way to explore more of Hyrule, but another way could also be letting us go underwater. With large bodies of water like Lake Hylia and coastal areas like those in southern Hyrule, we have to wonder if there's anything more that can be discovered underwater, or perhaps distant lands farther out at sea than Eventide Island. A diving mechanic would be a very new and interesting way of exploring Hyrule and beyond. And really, if Animal Crossing and Mario could do it, so can Breath of the Wild. And lastly, number 5, improving the weapon durability system. We mentioned earlier that the missing dungeons were one thing that many longtime fans took issue with. But really, Breath of the Wild's weapon durability system is hands down its biggest flaw. I mean, fine, I can imagine a boko club or a wooden spear breaking if you used it too much. But a royal broadsword? A metal weapon? For a game so grounded in physics, this didn't make a lot of sense. And if you're playing on Master Mode, where all your enemies' HP shoot up and your durability stays the same, it's one of the most annoying things about playing this game. While it seems unlikely that the Breath of the Wild sequel will be shelving its durability mechanic, it would be great if they took a few cues from a game like Dark Souls, where weapons do indeed wear down over time, but could actually be repaired and restored, instead of, blowing up into smithereens every few minutes. Anyway, that's everything we want to see in the Breath of the Wild sequel. And hopefully, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity will give us more clues on what to expect. What are you hoping to see? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please do give us a like. And if you want to see more, don't forget to hit that notification button. Thanks for stopping by. This is Anne, and until next time, goodbye!